None of us would really even be here today if Jesus hadn't slain the giant pumpkin. My favorite thing that I like to do on Halloween is walk through the burns unit at the hospital and congratulate everyone on their Freddy Krueger costumes. I'd open. And Halloween is easily the scariest night of the year. What with all the dead rising from their graves and all the fat girls thinking that they look sexy dressed as cats. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah.
So this guy's standing at a urinal and he sees he's being watched by a midget. And although the little fellow's staring at him intently, the guy's not uncomfortable till the midget starts dragging this little ladder next to him, climbs up on the step ladder and starts admiring his privates right close up. Wow, says the midget. Those are the nicest balls I've ever seen. And he's surprised, but he's flattered too. And the man's like, well, thanks. And he starts to move away. And the midget goes, listen, I know this is a rather strange request, but I wonder if you'd mind if I touch them. And the man's kind of startled, but he sees no harm in it, so he obliges. And the midget reaches out, gets a really tight grip and says, okay, hand me your wallet or I'll jump off this ladder.
Oh, damn.
This waitress walks up to one of her tables at a New York City restaurant, and she sees 3 Bulgarian businessmen seated there, furiously masturbating. She's like, what the hell are you guys doing? And one of the Bulgarian men says, can't you see we are all very, very hungry? And the waitress makes a stroking motion, goes, so how is whacking off in the middle of the restaurant going to help the situation? And one of the other businessmen says, the menu says first come, first served.
Oh my God.
One day, this mother was taking a bath and her 5-year-old son walks in and the son's like, what's that? And he's pointing down to her privates. And the mother was embarrassed, but she said, oh, that's my sponge. And the little boy goes, okay. And then he left. Well, the next day the mother had another bath, but she'd shaved her hair off. And the son came in and goes, where's your sponge, mommy? And the mother said she'd lost it. And the little boy said, I'm going to find it for you, mommy. She goes, oh, well, sure. Why not? And then 5 minutes later, her son comes running back in going, mommy, I found your sponge. And the mother goes, oh, yeah, where is it? And her son goes, that lady down the street's got it, and she's washing daddy's face with it.
Oh, shit.
Arthur Davidson of the Harley-Davidson Motorcycle Corporation died, and he went to heaven. And at the gate, St. Peter told Arthur, since you've been such a good man and your motorcycles have changed the world, your reward is you can hang out with anybody you want in heaven. And Arthur thought a minute and he goes, I'd like to hang out with God. So St. Peter took Arthur to the throne room and introduced him to God. And Arthur said, hey, aren't you the inventor of woman? And God said, well, yeah. And Arthur says, well, professional to professional. You have some major design flaws in your invention. Number 1, there's too much inconsistency in the front end protrusion. Number 2, it chatters constantly at high rate speeds. Number 3, most of the rear ends are too soft and wobble too much. Number 4, the intake is placed way too close to the exhaust. And finally, the maintenance costs are outrageous. And God's like, you might have some good points there, but hold on. And God went to his celestial supercomputer, typed in a few words, waited for the results, and the computer printed out a slip of paper, and God read it. And God goes, well, maybe true my invention is flawed, but according to these numbers, more men are riding my invention than yours. Yeah, 2 elderly gentlemen from a retirement center. They're sitting on a bench under a tree, and one turns to the other and says, Slim, I'm 83 years old now, and I'm just full of aches and pains, and I know you're about my age. How do you feel? And Slim says, I feel just like a newborn baby. Really? Like a newborn baby? Slim says, yep. Got no hair, no teeth, and I think I just pissed my pants. Yeah, hospital regulations, they require a wheelchair for patients being discharged. However, while working as a student nurse, this young woman found one elderly gentleman already all dressed, sitting on the bed with a suitcase at his feet, and he insisted he didn't need her help to go out of the hospital. Well, after a chat about all the rules being rules, he reluctantly let her wheel him to the elevator. And on the way down, she asked him if his wife was going to meet him. And he goes, I don't know. She's still upstairs in the bathroom changing out of her hospital gown. This couple in their 90s, they're both having problems remembering shit. And during a checkup, the doctor tells them that they're physically fine, but they might want to start writing things down to help them remember. Well, later that night, while they're watching TV, the old man gets up from his chair. You want anything when I'm in the kitchen? Will you get me a bowl of ice cream? Sure. Don't you think you should write it down so you can remember it? Nah, I can remember it. Well, I'd like some strawberries on top too. Maybe you should write it down. I can remember that. You want a bowl of ice cream with strawberries. I'd also like whipped cream. I'm certain you'll forget that. You want to write it down? I don't need to write it down. I can remember it. Ice cream with strawberries and whipped cream. I got it, for goodness sake. And then he toddles to the kitchen. About 20 minutes, he's gone. The old returns about 20 minutes later, and he hands his wife a plate of bacon and eggs. She stares at the plate and goes, where's my toast? Yeah, Morris, this 82-year-old man, he went to the doctor to get a physical. A few days later, the doctor saw Morris walking down the street with this gorgeous young woman on his arm. So a couple days later, the doctor spoke to Morris. He's like, hey, you're really doing great, aren't you? And Morris said, I'm just doing what you said, Doc. Got a hot mama and be cheerful. The doctor said, I didn't say that. I said, you've got a heart murmur. Be careful. Oh, well, goodbye, Morris.
Yeah, hearing problem.
One day during lessons on proper grammar, the teacher asked for a show of hands from those who could use the word beautiful in the same sentence twice. Well, first she called on little Susie, who said, my father bought my mother a beautiful dress and she looked beautiful in it. Very good, Susie, says the teacher. Then she called on little Michael. My mommy planned a beautiful banquet and it turned out beautifully. The teacher said, excellent, Michael. And then she reluctantly called on little Billy. Billy says, last night at the dinner table, my sister told my daddy she was pregnant and he said, beautiful, just fucking beautiful.